guys, today I want to show you how to make an easy elderberry syrup. Before we get started making elderberry syrup, I really want to talk about why we even have elderberry syrup and why we use it. This is one of the things that our great-great-grandparents would have had on their medicine shelf. It is loaded with vitamin C and antioxidants and really gives us a boost in the wintertime when our levels seem to be low. We're not eating as many fruits and vegetables. We're not getting outside as much. Inside, our air is a little more stale because we don't have our windows open. There's not a lot of circulation. This elderberry syrup really helps to build our immune system up so that we can prevent sickness or help when sickness comes on. It's one of those great natural medicines that our great-grandparents turned to that we can still use today. And my kids will tell you it is the best medicine that they've ever tasted, and they don't mind having seconds. Now, I want to make a side note. If you are wanting to eat fresh elderberries, do not do it. Elderberries are toxic, but when you cook them and dry them, it releases those toxins so that they're safe for our body. All right, now we know the why we do elderberry syrup. Let's dive in on how we make it. The first thing you're going to need, of course, is elderberries. These are dried elderberries. If you cannot find them and harvest them in the summer, you can also order them online at many different places. If you haven't already watched my video on how to harvest and store elderberries, click on that video right there and I will show you how I was able to harvest all of these elderberries this summer. I highly recommend that you keep dried elderberries on hand in the winter, not only for elderberry syrup, but I also like to brew up a cup of elderberry tea every once in a while. I am going to take 3/4 of a cup of dried elderberries, and I'm going to put that in a pot. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3 cups of water. This is the basic recipe right here, just the elderberries and the water. If you want to add some extras, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. One of the things I do like to add sometimes are cloves. So I'm just going to take just a sprinkle of cloves. You can also add some cinnamon. I've got some little pieces of cinnamon here. I'm just going to throw those in there. And then you can also grate some nutmeg. I also like to add a slice of ginger to my elderberry syrup as well. Ginger has some excellent qualities for colds and flus and that sort of thing. Again, you don't have to add things to it, but the more great natural things you add, the better it'll be. This we give just a little stir, and all I am going to do, I'm going to put a lid on it. I'm going to set it on the stove and bring it to a boil. Once it begins to boil, I reduce the heat to a simmer, and I'm going to let that simmer 30 minutes to 45 minutes. You want to check it from time to time. I would say every 15 minutes, just to make sure that the water is good. You're looking for the water to reduce by half, and that's it. If you go to my website, www.lifewithaprons.com, and type in elderberry syrup, I have the full recipe there, and you can even print it out, and that will help and give you all the measurements and everything that you need, and you can just tuck that away in your recipe book. I'm going to put this guy on the stove and let it simmer, and then we're going to come back and finish the final steps. Okay guys, my elderberry syrup has finished simmering. It's reduced by half, and I took it off the stove and let it cool for about 15 to 20 minutes, just so that it's not really hot, and when I pour it, I don't get burned. It is cooled enough to where I can strain it. I've got all those chunks of cinnamon in there, the cloves in there, And I also have the elderberries in there, so I want to make sure that I strain that first. So that's what we're going to do right now. Just going to pour this in. Okay. And when you finish pouring, I like to take the back of a spoon or a scoop or something like that and really mash down the berries to make sure that I've got all that good juice going down in there. And you do want to be careful with elderberries because they can stain your clothes. That's pretty good. So we have our strained elderberry syrup here. And the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to take 1 cup of honey and add it to the elderberry syrup. Just get that in there. I recommend that you try to find local honey. That is better for our bodies than just getting any old honey at the store. That's pretty good. And then I'm going to stir it up until it melts. After that is finished, just pour it into a jar. I use a mason jar, put a lid on it, and I store it in the fridge, and it will store for about a month. Maybe a little bit more. You just want to keep an eye on it after a month just to make sure that it's not developing any mold or anything on the top. When you want to use the elderberry syrup, I usually take a teaspoon at a time to prevent sickness, and then if we have sickness, I usually give about 2 teaspoons at a time. And that's really it. I'm just going to pour this into a mason jar, pop a lid on it, and throw it in the refrigerator and use as needed. I really like making my own elderberry syrup because I really feel empowered. I don't need to go to the store to get something. I already have in my medicine cabinet items that I can use to treat sickness in my own home, and it really gives you that freedom to know I can use nature to heal my family. I think that's really important that we learn how to use nature to heal our family. There are so many herbs and spices and all kinds of things in nature that can help heal our bodies, and we don't always have to turn to store-bought medicines. And this is one of those things, the elderberry syrup. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it empowered you to gain more from nature and use it to heal your body. Click that like button and subscribe for more great content. Thanks.